Thank you to everybody who commented on, liked, or shared my last video. I want to talk a bit more about this mindset for preventing and or clearing negative emotions. I'm going to focus specifically on anger and anxiety. And for this bit, I have to credit my mentor, trauma and hypnotherapist, Dr. John Connolly. Anger and anxiety in particular are stress reactions. They are designed to take over. They kick in automatically and are therefore powerful motivators. They're designed to get us to stop whatever it is we're doing and either run really fast or bite really hard. That's all they really are. It's that fight or flight response. Even in times when it's not an all-out panic attack or complete intense fit of rage, that is the same mechanism that's getting activated. It's the same old thing. It's fight or flight. And so having this understanding of what anger and anxiety really are allows us then to develop this mindset where they only get activated in the very rare circumstances in which they would actually be of use. And that would be some situation in which we have to run really fast or bite really hard, or maybe, in those accidents, these stories you hear about where somebody's trapped under a car or something, and that adrenaline rush would allow us to be a bit stronger and to, lift up a car or something like that. And those things can and do happen. Of course, they're very, very rare. So the intention becomes then for our minds to be clear, focused, present, maintaining complete access to our humor, our curiosity, our wisdom, creativity, all of those things right at our fingertips, so that anger, anxiety, and other negative emotions too simply don't get in the way. That's the intention. We don't want anger and anxiety showing up at times when they are actually worse than useless. And that is almost always. So if this is making sense to you, and you're already on board with the idea that anger and anxiety really have not been serving you in any way, then the intention becomes clear, and there's no reservation or objection or conflict within your own mind about it. And that's a really big first step for this sort of intention to take hold. So even though these emotions are not conscious, they're not consciously created in the moment, the mindset that we walk around with kind of primes them. And so if you're looking through a different lens, like thinking that, I ought to feel anxious sometimes. This is a big deal. This is a big job. This is a potentially life-changing job interview I'm going in for, or I'm in an abusive relationship or a toxic relationship, or somebody's doing something in my life that's really unacceptable. And therefore, I ought to be angry about it. So that's a perspective that is going to lend itself then to continuing to have angry reactions. So that's why sorting through this stuff consciously, cognitively, intellectually first, and kind of checking it out, seeing if it makes sense to you. And if so, then you form that intention. We want our minds to operate this way. I'm not thinking that I ought to be anxious or angry. I'm thinking that I'm best when my mind is clear and present and completely at ease. Now, I may be focused and strategic. A soldier on the battlefield is certainly that way. but he's also not panicked. He doesn't want his heart rate elevated. And we generally don't either. We want to be at peace, at ease. We want to be responsive to the beauty of the world around us and to the people that we love, to not be reactive. That's the intention. So we have to have this bit of understanding first. It has to make sense to us consciously, cognitively. A lot of people, a lot of therapists talk about coping skills and communication skills. And those things can have value, but they don't replace this notion that you have to decide for yourself how you actually want it. Usually, when people are prone to anxiety and certainly anger, they're thinking that they probably should be feeling that way, or at very least, they're not sure how to feel. I certainly identify with that. For most of my life, I really didn't know how I should feel. And so it wasn't until this sort of mindset was presented to me and I processed it and fully adopted it and sort of surrendered to it, which is another big concept that I will talk about in a future video. So it's not about giving up anything. It's not about anyone telling you what to do. It's only about clarity with respect to how you fully intend for your own mind to operate. If we're finding ourselves getting into arguments with people that we care about, oftentimes the thought is something along the lines of, I need to get this person to understand something. I need to get them to do something. And, there's this fairness or justice kind of issue. And again, that's a different way of looking at things. And if that makes sense to you, well, then fine. But if you're finding that the arguments and anger and hostility is not really serving you, then maybe try this out. So if you want to know more and even talk to me personally, I would be very happy to do that with you. Like, comment, share, or text or call.